All right. Call to order. Please rise. Pledge to the allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We good, camera, mic? Can you hear me? Is the mic picking me up? All right. Thank you. All right. Call to order and the pledge. Let me go through and do a quick roll call. I'm here. Dr. Bailey is out sick tonight. Alan Stork.
Here.
William Gutschott.
Here.
Jeff Spink.
Here.
Doug Tysted.
Here.
Robert Owen.
Here.
Steve Skeet.
Here.
Dan Clemens.
Here.
Steve Rosenthal.
Here.
All right. We have 8 to vote tonight. All right. Do I have a motion to approval of the minutes?
So moved.
I have a
Second.
Motion and a second. Thank you. Any discussion on the minutes? Anybody see anything they want to? Okay. All right. I'll call roll. Alan Stork?
Yes.
William Gutschott?
Yes.
Jeff Spink?
Yes.
Doug Tysted?
Yes.
Robert Owens?
Abstain.
Steve Skeet?
Abstain.
Dan Clemens?
Yes.
And Steve Rosenthal?
Yes.
All right. 6 carries. Secretary's report.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
On today's agenda, you have a consent agenda that consists of 3 items. So once you approve your agenda, those automatically will be approved. On the regular agenda, we have 2 exceptions and 1 public hearing. And then, of course, we have a Board of Zoning Appeals that will be convening as soon as the Planning Commission is over. We will have 2 items, and as you've already discussed, 2 members can leave. So that is all.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Do I have any declarations for tonight?
Mr. Chairman, I'm on the consent agenda, so I will abstain voting on the approval of that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any others? Okay. Do I have a motion for approval of tonight's agenda?
So moved.
All right.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right. William Gutschott?
Yes.
Jeff Spink?
Yes.
Doug Tysted?
Yes.
Robert Owens?
Yes.
Steve Skeet?
Yes.
Dan Clemens?
Yes.
And Steve Rosenthal?
Yes.
All right. And abstain. Alan Stork. All right. 7. Okay. Let's go to the motion carries for approval of tonight's agenda. Let's go to item 9A on your packet. The Leavenworth County Planning Commission will now hear case DEV 24-135. It's a boundary line adjustment exception for Lamb as outlined in your posted agenda. This is not a public hearing. Planning staff report.
All right. The case before you, DEV 24-135, is a boundary line adjustment exception request for the property located at 13963 206th Street. This parcel, it actually contains 2 separate parcels, and they are applying to adjust the boundary line to bring both parcels into compliance with its zoning designation, which is RR 2.5. However, there are some physical features of this parcel that make it difficult to meet the lot depth to lot width requirements, specifically for tract 1. So it's going to be that western tract. That tract was actually already non-compliant with the lot depth to lot width. However, since they are doing an action to amend property lines, they need to formalize that exception request before you guys. The applicant did provide a narrative for the 3 factors you guys consider when you're looking at exceptions. and I believe they are in attendance tonight as well. So if you have any questions about the staff report or for the applicant, please let us know.
All right, thank you. Does the applicant wish to speak? Any additional information?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Questions, comments, members of the commission? All right, well, I'll entertain a motion to approve the exception for the boundary line adjustment exception for Lamb. You want to go back?
Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
I propose that the Planning Commission hereby approves an exception from Article 50, Section 40.3.I, lot depth to lot width conformance with the zoning and subdivision regulations for the Thomas Farms Second Plat subdivision as submitted by the application, based on a finding that all three criteria for an exception has been met.
Did you want to amend that to say the land boundary line adjustment, not the Thomas Farm second plat?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't. I thought it looked strange as I was reading through it, but
Oops.
so amended.
It's all right.
Thank you.
Yeah, land boundary line, that's, okay. All right.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Do I have discussion on the floor from the commissioners? No discussion? All right. Motion and a second, no discussion. I'll call roll. Alan Stork,
Yes.
William Gutschalk,
Yes.
Jeff Spink,
Yes.
Doug Tysted,
Yes.
Robert Owens,
Yes.
Steve Skeet,
Yes.
and Daniel Clemens,
Yes.
and Steve Rosenthal.
Yes.
All right. Motion carries 8-0. Thank you. We'll go to 9B on your agenda, please. The Leavenworth County Planning Commission will now hear case DEV 24-145. This is a track split exception for Owens Trust as outlined in the posted agenda. This is not a public hearing item. Planning staff report, please.
Good evening, gentlemen. Next case is case DEV 24-145. The applicants are requesting an exception from the zoning subdivision regulation of Article 50, Section 40.3I, and that's the lot depth to lot width ratio of a property located at 2199 Loring Road. The applicants are proposing to split off a 5-acre tract of land for one of their family members in order to build a house. This tract of land in its current configuration is not compliant with regulations. However, since it exceeds the 40 acres, the tract is exempt from the lot depth to lot width requirement. The exception is based upon 3 criteria needed for approval, and they can be found in your staff report. If the exception were to be approved, it would be in conformance with regulations. And the applicant is here to discuss the request further, and I am open to any questions that you may have.
Does the applicant wish to speak tonight? No? Okay. Normally, we can't get him to stop coming up here, and tonight, he's like he wants to make a record that we get done less than 30 minutes. I'm just picking at you, Joe. Is there any other additional information?
The only thing that I would add is on the exception that's on there, when it says the Smith Ridge, make sure that it's the tract split exception for Owens Trust.
Yeah. Just like it says in the posted agenda. Thank you. Yep, thank you. Okay, members of the commission, questions, comments, discussion? Okay. I'll
Mr.
entertain.
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
The Planning Commission in the case of DEV 24-145, a track split exception, an exception from Article 50, Section 40.3.I, lot depth, lot width, conformance with the zoning and subdivision regulations for the Owens Trust as submitted by the application based on a finding that all three criteria for an exception has been met. I hereby recommend approval.
For the track split exception for Owens Trust.
Correct.
Thank you. Thank you,
I got
Commissioner.
it right.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right. You call roll. Alan Stark,
Yes.
William Gutschott,
Yes.
Jeff Spink,
Yes.
Doug Tysed,
Yes.
Robert Owens,
Yes.
Stephen Skeet,
Yes.
Daniel Clemens,
Yes.
Stephen Rosenthal.
Yes.
All right. Vote carries 8-0 in approval of the track split exception for Owens Trust. All right, we'll move over to item 9C. The Leavenworth County Planning Commission will now consider case DEV 24-134, a rezoning request from RR5 to RR2.5 as outlined in your posted agenda. This does require a public hearing. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. At the staff will maintain the time and the clock up here. At the end, and the clock goes off at 3 minutes, the commission are no longer hearing you. Please don't continue. Teresa ought to wrap it up in the 3 minutes. Staff report, please.
All right. The next case before you is case DEV-24-134. This is a rezoning request of properties located at 20500, 20426, and 00000 Wooden Road from RR5 to RR2.5. The future land use for these properties is identified as rural residential 2.5. The property owner that is located on 1101 are obtaining approximately 5 to 10 feet of the property owners to the east and extending that line all the way back to the northern property line of parcel 11, which would bring them into conformance with the road frontage requirement of the RR 2.5 zoning district. The staff reviewed this request based off of 7 golden factors, which is needed in a rezoning request. Those factors and analysis can be found on page 2 of your staff report. Staff is supportive of this request. The applicant agent is here for questions. With that being said, I am open to your questions.
Staff, you want to ask questions now, or you want to wait?
My only question is, since this is just rezoning, what about access? Because it's 197-foot width. Are we?
So they already have a residence on there. All what they're wanting to do is to be able to bring their tract of land into conformance by having the 200 feet of road frontage. That's why they were proposing to obtain approximately 5 to 10 feet of that property owner directly to the east of them.
So do they already have an entrance, or is there
Yes,
an entrance
that's
shared
the 20500. That's their entrance right there.
Oh, okay, now I see it. I didn't see it earlier. Okay, thank you.
All right. Upon opening this public comment portion of this hearing, those of you who wish to speak either for or against this item upon recognition, will you give your name and address each time you begin to speak? This is necessary since this is a public hearing being recorded. The public comment portion of this hearing is now open. Would the applicant please come forward? Oh, now.
Now he wants to
The Joe Herring.
Good evening, Joe Herring, 315 North 5th Street, Herring's Ring. Staff covered this very well. They no intent on building a new structure on this. The gentleman on the west just needs a little additional ground. And the property to the right, 11.05, the larger tract, had to be brought in for the rezone request, so we didn't have a split zone. Once we do the boundary line adjustment, it all will be the same zone. That's the only reason for the request. No development, no plan or anything. That's what we're here for. So, any questions? And if not,
Questions?
I did have one question about, there was a building out in what would appear to be 11. How was that brought into conformance, or is it in conformance?
building on a
In
11.01.
one of the emails from from one of the engineers, it talked about a building that had been put out in the floodplain.
Yes, that was handled a few years ago, I believe, with staff.
That is correct. They have an active floodplain permit for a structure that was built in a floodplain.
Okay, so it's in conformance now.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Joe? All right. Thank you,
See
sir.
all of you. Have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Joe. Thank you. Yeah. I was looking for where I read that email on that piece, Doug.
Yeah, it's about the second or third
Yeah.
email in on the.
Okay. We will now.
And all I wanted to do was make certain that it was in compliance before
Yeah.
we voted.
Right, absolutely. All right, we will now hear from those individuals present wishing to speak in favor of the request. Anyone here wishing to speak in favor of this variance? Rezoning request. Okay, we'll now hear from those individuals present wishing to speak in opposition of this request. It's going to be a quiet night. Okay? Is there any other additional information?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you, Josh. All right. Well, the public comment portion of this public hearing is now closed. Kansas law allows for a petition protesting the decision of the Planning Commission to be filed. That petition must be filed within 14 calendar days after the date of the public hearing. Additional information on the filing of a protest petition can be obtained from the Office of the Planning and Zoning. Questions and comments from the members of the commission? Okay. In that case, I'll entertain a motion on this request, a rezoning request from RR5 to RR 2.5, case DEV 24-134.
If I may interject for a moment,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
don't believe we have a sample motion in front of everyone, but I'll just remind everyone, we see a lot of rezones. Typically, there's a finding that either the application did or does or does not comply with the golden factors, and then if not, you articulate other reasons why not.
Thank you. Good to hear from you tonight.
I knew you would miss me if I didn't. So.
I did. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you. Okay. I'll entertain a motion on this request.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval of case DEV 24-134, Valenzuela Altenhofer rezone from RR5 to RR 2.5 based on the application and the golden factors and the staff recommendation.
All right.
Robert, before you can. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Doug. I get a nice pencil on it.
In my mind.
Yeah, I need another one, Josh. Thanks. I appreciate it. I just stole Robert's pen.
You're all right.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councilman. Appreciate it. I have a motion on the floor to approve the rezoning request. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Motion and a second. Is there discussion of the motion? Discussion of the motion? All right. I'll call roll. Alan Stewart?
Yes.
William Guschock?
Yes.
Jeff Spink?
Yes.
Doug Tystead?
Yes.
Robert Owens?
Yes.
Steve Skeet?
Yes.
Daniel Clemens?
Yes.
and Steve Rosenthal.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Vote carries 8-0. The motion is carried by a vote of 8-0. The Board of County Commissioners will consider this item no earlier than December the 30th, 2024 for that meeting. The commission agenda is posted on the Leavenworth County website and is available for public viewing. Okay, at this time, I believe we're going to, do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Good deal. Meeting is adjourned, and we'll begin Board of Zoning Appeals right after Mr. Daniel Clemens and Mr. Robert Owens depart. Thank you. Have a safe night. Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah, you guys too.
Absolutely. Merry Christmas to you, Dan. Yes, sir.
Home now.
I want you to think long and hard about us when we're still here till 10 o'clock.
11.
You too.
All right, we will begin with the Board of Zoning and Appeals. I'll call roll real quick. We have Alan Stark,
Yes.
William Guschok,
Here?
Jeff Spink,
Here.
Doug Tysted,
Here.
Robert Owens is out, Stephen Skeet,
Here.
Danny Clemens is out, Steve Rosenthal.
Here.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, we have 6 for zone. 6 voting members. Secretary's report.
All right, before you is case DEV 24-144, which is a request for a variance from Article 5, Section 4, and Article 50, Section 40.31. Article 5, Section 4 is the frontage requirement in the RR 2.5 zoning district, which is 200 feet. And then Article 50, Section 43.1 is the lot depth to lot width requirement in the subdivision regulations. The parcel in question is 15514 Loring Road. To the best of staff's ability to track this parcel, at some time a previous owner, approximately in around 2015 from what we could determine, split this parcel via deed. 15514 and 15508 next door to the east were once one parcel. That parcel did have 2 single-family houses on it, and like I said, it appears that it was split via deed sometime in the 2015 time range. Now, at that time, it was zoned RR 2.5, which it's still zoned RR 2.5, so the minimum frontage requirement when it was split and currently is 200 feet. So when you measure it out, they have approximately 88 feet of road frontage after the split occurred via the deed.
How much again, Amy? I'm sorry.
Approximately 88.
Okay, thank you.
So obviously it's non-compliant. In addition, they would have had to meet the lot depth to lot width requirement to split this property. However, they do not meet that, so they also need a variance from that lot depth to lot width. Staff did provide an analysis of the 5 factors that you have to consider. The applicant also provided a written response to those 5 factors that you have to consider, and that can be found in the staff report. If you have any questions, please let me know. We did have other agencies look at this and review it, and we did not receive any substantial comments from them. So.
One thing to keep in mind as well is that the owner of this did not have that lot split occur while they had ownership over it. This is prior to their ownership.
Right. By a previous owner.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, team. The Leavenworth County Board of Zoning Appeals will now consider case DEV 24-11144. It's a variance request from Article 5, Section 4 minimal parcel size for RR5, and Article 50, Section 40.3.I, lot depth to lot width of the zoning and subdivision regulations. This does require a public hearing. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person, and we've already checked off the planning staff report. Is that right? Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Upon opening this public comment portion of this hearing, those of you who wish to speak either for or against this item, upon recognition, please come up to the podium, give your full name and address each time you begin to speak. This is necessary since this is a public hearing and it is being recorded. The public comment portion is now of this hearing is now open. Will the applicant please come forward?
My name's Jeff Barker with Cityscape, 7715 Shawnee Mission Parkway, Mission, Kansas.
All right, sir. Do you have anything you want to add from tonight's staff report? Do you have anything at all?
No, not necessarily to add. The property has a dilapidated structure that was before our time on that is non-repairable, and we are looking to have that rezoned out so that we can take that structure down and put a compliant home on that property.
Okay.
So it's not dilapidated and sitting there in complete disrepair.
Got it. Questions from the commission?
So just let me get straight in my head. So it was a 5-acre plot.
At one
give
time,
or
yes.
take. And then the owner sold half of it, essentially half of it,
Yes.
and didn't get it rezoned. Is that correct?
Correct. They'd split it by deed. The structure, the lot next to it, is owned by someone else, and then now this is split by.
Okay, so it was
east
split
and west
by
side,
deed.
correct. Yes.
And it is 2.5.
Yes.
Is there a requirement? This one needs an easement for there can't be another entrance onto, what is it, Loring Road? Is that
There's a
what I
shared
read?
easement with that and the property next door to it.
It's a shared
So
interest.
they're going to share.
Yes.
But there'll be an easement, correct? Or
Yes.
is there one in place?
I think there already is.
Yeah, there is one already in place.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, they said they recommended one, but I didn't see in the package where one had been approved or anything like that. Okay. That's my question.
Okay,
Thank you.
Any other questions?
All right.
Thanks for coming tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you all very much.
Well, I've got the temperature warmed up outside just for you.
I appreciate that. It's a little chilly right now being outside.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this request? Is there anyone anyone wishing to speak in opposition of this request? Okay. Board have any other questions or concerns or comments on this request? Okay. Any other additional information to be presented?
Just a clarification, the zoning for this parcel has always been RR 2.5. So its size is compliant. What is not compliant is the frontage.
Right. That's what we're doing tonight is the variance to bring that in line. Okay. Okay. Thank you. All right. Public comment portion of this hearing is now closed. Any other questions or comments from the commission? Discussion, comments, questions? Okay. All right. Well, in that case, I'll entertain a motion on this request. It's a variance. It's a variance request from Article 5, Section 4, minimum parcel size for RR5, and Article 50, Section 40.3.I, the lot depth to lot width of zoning and subdivision regulations.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve case number DEV-24-144, variance request, as presented by staff and as discussed.
All right, I have a motion on the floor in accordance with the golden factors. that
Well,
was
I
addressed.
just want to clarify, it appears that they are seeking two variances, one for lot frontage and one for lot width to depth, and
We need two motions.
two motions, and I think your motion was just for lot width to lot depth, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then we would need a finding that the 5 criteria for the variances have been met. And so, do you want to include that in your motion?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor for the lot width to lot depth, right? Okay. I have a motion on the floor to approve the variance for the lot width to lot depth. Do I have a second?
I second.
I have a second. Thank you, sir. All right, I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? All right, I'll call roll. Alan Stewart,
Yes. Yes.
William Gusshot,
Yes.
Jeff Spink,
Yes.
Doug Tystead,
Yes.
Robert Owens is out. Steve Skeet,
Yes.
Steve Rosenthal.
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries for the lot width to lot depth for this variance. Okay, 6-0. Now, I'll entertain a motion for
The lot frontage.
the lot frontage. Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion for the lot frontage for this variance request as stated in your agenda packet.
Can I ask just one question?
Yes, sir.
You said that this was zoned for 2.5, correct?
Yes.
Was that by a previous action by the board?
This whole area is zoned RR 2.5. I don't remember exactly when this area was
Okay,
designated that. but
okay.
it's been-
Because you said it's already zoned 2. But you were also saying that it was a RR5.
No, it was never RR5. What I was saying was it was a 5-acre parcel that the owner split via deed. But it's always been RR 2.5.
Got it. Thank you.
It's good. It's good. Thank you. All right, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the frontage variance. Correct?
That's correct.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
in the case of DEV 24.144, request for variance from Article 5, Section 4, road frontage, I recommend we approve this variance based on the factors provided by the planning staff.
I think you've covered the statutory basis with your motion.
Thank you. So I recommend approval.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Well said.
Well,
Second.
That's the reason why we have a good lawyer here with us to keep us
That's
straight.
right.
Absolutely. So I have a motion and a second. Thank you, Stephen. Motion and a second. Do I have any discussion from the commission on the motion on the floor? This is the frontage. All right? None? I'll call roll. Alan Stewart,
Yes.
William Gusshot,
Yes.
Jeff Spink,
Yes.
Doug Tystead,
yes.
Stephen Skeet,
Yes.
and Stephen Rosenthal.
Yes.
All right. And that motion carries 6-0. Both motions carry an approval by a vote of 6-0. We will now go to agenda, the second variance, 2 Bravo in your packet. Leavenworth County Board of Zone Appeals will now consider case DEV 24-146, a variance request from Article 41, Section 6, Exhibit B, residential entrance spacing of the zoning and subdivision regulations. This is one variance.
This is one.
As I'm reading my sheet, it's one variance. All right, I'm on the record. All right, thank you. This does require a public hearing. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. Planning staff report.
All right, DEV 24-146 is a variance request from Article 41, Section 6, Exhibit B, which is the residential entrance spacing requirement for the county. The parcel in question is 00000 147th Street. You actually platted this during your last meeting. It was approved. But it was noted that they would have a potential entrance spacing problem during that meeting and that they would have to take separate action, which is what they are seeking today.
Okay.
This parcel is located along a county collector road, and it is a high-volume county collector road. So the spacing requirement per our policy is 300 feet. Now the parcel to the north, which is you can barely see in this image, does have an entrance that is existing. So when you measure from that and where the applicant is proposing to put it, it's approximately 236 feet. So it does not meet the 300 feet spacing that is required. However, there is an under-road culvert that goes under the road and has output on that side of the road, plus other utilities that would limit this lot's ability to get an entrance at that 300-foot spacing requirement. Public Works did review this because they are the ones that review access, and they said based off of where the location is going that they did not see any concerns with this request. Staff did provide an analysis of the 5 factors as well as the applicant did as well. So if you have any questions about that, please let us know.
On this one, I had a question, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
Where exactly are you proposing to put it in?
So do you see?
This is on Lot 3 now,
No, it'd be on Lot 2.
and it says Lot 3 here.
Lot 3 is the
Is the one south
lot
of that.
From the original plat. So it was Lot 3 of Thomas Farms. When you agree to the plat, it replatted into Lot 1 and Lot 2 of Thomas Farms second. But that plat is not filed yet, so legally this parcel is still Lot 3 of Thomas Farms subdivision.
Okay,
Does that
all
help?
right, I got it.
So as Josh was showing to you, that entrance location that they're proposing is right approximately there.
Yep.
As you can see, they're showing some of the utility boxes to the south there as well on this plat.
And that one will also, using the current lots as shown, will also provide access to Lot 1?
That's correct. They are proposing
Because
an
they're
access-
not hooking into Donahue Road because it's not.
It's a minimally maintained road, and our policy is not to allow for new entrances for residences on minimally maintained roads.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I could have sworn when I read this and went through it, I don't know why I was thinking that this particular one had the danger of the hill or something. I don't know why, but I may have gotten it confused. But I kept looking at it with the danger of exit and entrance into this subdivision. But oh well, we'll figure it out when we discuss it here. All right.
As I understand it, the request is really based primarily on drainage, correct? And placement of the culverts that are already in?
Well, there's physical obstructions to a multitude of areas where they could possibly get their access points at the appropriate 300-foot range. So really, this is the safest point. That's why we ran it through Public Works, to make sure this is the safest point for the connection. And by limiting connections to a major arterial, you limit the amount of trips on that arterial at multiple points. So from a safety standpoint, it's standard protocol to do that. You'll find an example of this in Lansing, when the highway was redone, they eliminated all those access points for this very reason, to limit the amount of in and out that you have on a high traffic or high volume road.
Right. Right. Okay. All right. Upon opening this public comment portion of this hearing, those of you who wish to speak either for or against this item, upon recognition, will give your name and address each time you begin to speak. This is necessary since this is a public hearing, and it is being recorded. The public comment portion of this hearing is now open. Will the applicant please come forward? It's good to see you again, sir.
Good to see you as well. Cody Herbster, 4247 Aspen Drive, Pacer 66007. Excuse me. Thank you, staff. Thank you all for your time. I know we've met multiple times here. I do want to. I'm not going to regurgitate what I put in the application. However, I was actually going to speak about the hills and how this works. So, on that portion of 147th, where this driveway is located, and the drainage, and we're close to the drainage, it's actually kind of at the bottom, and they're not sharp hills. It's about a half-mile hill on either side. So the hill on the north, I actually went out there today and measured. From the point you can see visibility as a vehicular driver going southbound is approximately 1,300 feet or a quarter mile. Coming northbound, it's even more, so it's like 0.28, 0.29. So you're about 1,450 feet. So the placement not only, are we getting it as far away from the existing driveway to the north of us as we possibly can, and working with Public Works to, not run into the culvert situation, but it also is putting it as far away from each of those hills to prevent, potential public safety hazard. So, that's kind of what we're trying to do here. I want to thank you guys again. Thanks, staff. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer those now. Okay. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name's Matt Burnett, 16110 152nd, Bonner Springs. I'm here to support this driveway. We went out there and measured it, and we went as far as we could from the driveway to the north, trying not to get in that culvert. So I have pictures of it, if that would help for you guys to look at, if you want to go over those as well.
All right. Thank you. Any questions? I hadn't got to those of you speaking in favor or against, but hey, that's good. You're already you said it. I'm speaking in favor of. Appreciate it. You're on it. You're on it. Thank you. Okay, so we're in those wishing to speak in favor of this request. Okay. All right. Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition of this request? Okay. Does the board have any other further questions, points, comments, discussions? Okay. Is there any other additional information to be presented from the staff?
No, sir.
None? All right. Public comment portion of this hearing is now closed. Is there any questions or comments from the members of the commission? All right. Well, in that case, I'll entertain a motion on this request. This case number is DEV 24-146. It's a variance request from Article 41, Section 6, Exhibit B, residential interest spacing of the zoning and subdivision regulations.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve case number DEV-24-146, variance request for farm interest spacing, as presented by staff and as explained by the owner. I thought they did a very good job of explaining why we're doing this.
Thank you, sir. In accordance with all factors presented.
Correct.
Thank you. All right, I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All right. I was beginning to wonder if you were going to stay with me there, William. All right, I have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there discussion on the floor? Discussion on the motion? All right, let me call roll. Alan Stewart,
Yes.
William Guschock,
Yes.
Jeff Spink,
Yes.
Doug Tysted,
Yes.
Robert Owen, Stephen Skeet,
Yes.
Stephen Rosenthal,
Yes.
6-0. Roll call done. Motion is carried by a vote of 6-0 in approval of this variance. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I
I
have a
second.
second? I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all
you.
for coming.
Look at that fly.